Hello, everybody. Everyone who's here, welcome to this catch up of Making Summer Stories. I am here with the lovely Hannah Lisa, who has popped in very kindly from her vacation, which is looking glorious, by the way. And we're going to do a little roundup of Making Summer Stories because it's been running for just over a week, nearly 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a little check in, see what our projects are like, see how we're doing, talk about some knitting engage mishaps that I've had. And yeah, we're going to have some fun and hang out and show each other our projects. So welcome, welcome. We're so excited that you're here. And yeah, let's get to it. I think before we show any projects, I'm going to make a little announcement, which is that the patterns from issue 3 have now reverted back to the designers. So what that means is some of our designers will now have them up as individual patterns in the Ravelry stores and on their websites and anywhere else they wish to sell them. So if you've had your BDI on any of the patterns in issue 3 and you don't have issue 3 and you want that pattern, go and check it out. I'm going to be putting things up in stories over the next week as well, just to show what's up for sale and what you get as an individual download and just all fun things like that. So yeah, join in making stories with an issue 3 pattern if you wish. So yes, on to our patterns,
Yay.
I think. Hannah Lisa, where have you got up to with your projects? Because you have 2 projects technically on the go right now, which is very adventurous of you.
Technically. So I'm going to start with my petiole. This is where I'm at with my lovely petiole. Don't be mistaken. I have not ripped anything back. I have not knit anything. I'm going to say it was maybe a little bit over. Yeah. And I don't feel bad about it because making summer stories is not like a traditional Cal where we have to finish something by the deadline or anything. It's just about having fun. And it was maybe a little bit over ambitious because I had grand plans. So about 2 weeks ago, shortly after we started making summer stories, I'm on my summer vacation. And I had grand plans of knitting all the things. Now, to everyone who doesn't know, I have a baby, 10 months old, and knitting
so cute
and baby not super compatible, especially because Orin is now at the stage of grabbing everything, and needles, not like they are great because they bling, and they're not great because they hurt. Yeah. So I actually made a lot of progress, or quite a lot of progress, on my second project, which I'm going to show you in a second. But unfortunately, not on my petiole. But I had loaned the first ball with the intention of making a gauge swatch, and yeah, that's how far I've gotten. For what it's worth, I loved hand winding this, which says a lot because I hate hand winding. But I was just so happy with the color that I picked.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm totally blanking on the name. Something with M.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was it
It will come to me. But not quite.
Yeah, it was moth related.
Yeah,
we'll find out. We'll pop it in the comments below,
exactly.
So everyone knows.
And I don't think there's any other green in the color palette right now. So it's the sort of slightly olive green. I don't really know if you can see it. So anyways,
gorgeous.
And I love it. That's how far I got with my petiole sweater. The second project, though, has seen quite a bit of progress, and that is a pair of Treyage socks. And
oh, it's so exciting.
Yep. So, okay, like the first sock was already done when we started making summer stories, so I can't take credit for that, but I brought it here just to show you the gorgeous pattern. Yeah. So Treyage socks, Treyage is a pattern also from issue 3, It's by A.L. Young, originally designed for Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co.'s Natural Sock, which is also the yarn that I'm using. And this was very kindly custom dyed by the lovely Emma, my dear friend.
Pretty.
It's dyed with onion skins, I think, and it's
it's
a lovely yellow. Doesn't really show. This is, at least on my screen, pretty accurate. Sort of a light yellow, but pretty cool tone, and I absolutely love how well it shows up the stitch pattern.
I love that yarn. I love the yellow, and I love that pattern.
Yeah.
Can we see the heel again?
Yes. So just to say, this is knit toe up, and this is why the heel flips. Look at this. Like so I haven't started the heel. I'm just at the heel turn right now with the second sock, and I'm so excited for the heel. And the when I knit the heel on the first sock, I remember that one of our test knitters for this wrote that this was probably the prettiest sock heel that she ever knit, and I have to agree.
I agree.
It's so
agree.
Pretty.
It's gorgeous.
So,
I mean, and I bet that stitch makes it really hard wearing as well. I mean, that's really clever of AL.
I think so
to
too.
do that.
And I love
because it looks gorgeous.
Yeah. It looks gorgeous, and I love that there's also, it's sort of like a broken rib structure with twists that you have here, and it just, I love this. Like, I love it when you have a good heel construction that actually takes advantage, where the pattern takes advantage of all of this space, and I think they've done this brilliantly on here. And
they've been so clever. Honestly, they've been so clever with that heel design, because it ticks all the boxes. I know we're tooting AL's horn here, not so much ours, for it being in issue 3, but it's gorgeous. It ticks all the boxes because it looks perfect. Those little twisted stitches are fantastic, but it's going to be really hard wearing as well. I can't wait to get that on my needles. If I ever get more time, I have so much on my needles right now. I'm actually slightly overwhelmed by it all, but that is definitely on my list of one of the patterns to do.
Yeah, and I
love it.
I actually really enjoyed knitting the first sock, and I really enjoy knitting the second sock.
Good.
Like, there's no danger of second sock syndrome, I think, with those, because you have these gorgeous cables, and these are actually wrapped stitches left and right of the cable. And it took me a little while to memorize the pattern, and I'm going to tell a funny story in a second about the pattern, but it's not something that if you are a semi-experienced knitter, I'd say you don't really have to look at the chart or the notes that much when you're knitting it.
Oh, that's good.
Which I think is the perfect combination. Like, you have something that looks really intricate, but you don't really have to look at the chart or the written instructions all the time. So yeah,
that's my kind of pattern. I'm not good at staring and reading things for too long.
I'm a sucker for a design that actually has the ribbing integrated, like this one. Just one of those little things.
Me too. I love that, where it goes right up into the ribbing.
So in terms of progress, so the first sock is finished. These are actually, honestly, they're not for me. They're for my mom.
That's so nice.
I might actually make myself another pair.
Yeah.
So this is how far I am on the second sock. So I am in the middle of the heel turn, which is why my needles look all funny. So yeah, you can kind of see the heel turn here.
What kind of needles are those?
Those are ChiaoGoo lace needles. I think I'm knitting this on 2 millimeter, which Claire helped me, US 0, I think.
Yes. I need a new pair of sock needles. I've always knit socks on 2.5s, and I thought that was teeny tiny to knit socks on. And I think because I've been watching Emma of the Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co, her podcast where she's been experimenting with the sock gauge and and I think I've always knit my socks quite at a lucid, although I'm quite a tight knitter, as we'll find out when I talk about my petioles. So maybe I need to actually look at knitted socks. I've not knitted socks for ages, so I should maybe try and get some on my needles and see where my gauge is at for those.
I love these needles. I'm going to admit I only knit with Chow Goose, and that sounds quite snobbish. But I also don't own a whole ton of needles. So I used to knit with Knit Pros, like the Symphony range, and I used to just buy them left, right, and center because I wouldn't keep them in one place, and then I would always lose them and have tons of things on my needles and need new ones and stuff. And they were cheap and they were good. But I was kind of fed up at one point. And then a few years ago, I was in the US visiting David, who was living there at the time. And Chow Goose are really expensive in Germany. And in the US, I found a really good deal. So it was still a splurge. I'm not going to lie, but I think I paid like maybe half of what I would have paid in Germany. I think now they are easier to get in Germany, but back then there was, I think, maybe 1 or 2 shops who carried them, not more. So I splurged on the interchangeable set, and I've not looked back since. I've gifted all of my other needles to a friend of mine, and I can only, if you're in the market for a new pair of sock needles like the Chow Goose, they are really worth their money, especially because the cable, it's a steel cable and it has this red nylon on it. It's super twisty, but it's not gonna retain any kinks or anything. Like with my Knit Pros, I would have to soak the cables after every project to straighten them out again. And this is just really, I love them. I am going to say I'm not knitting these to gauge. You're not going to notice that when you look very closely. But if you're if you're looking at the needle size, the recommended needle size, so I'm knitting the smallest needle size on the smallest needle that I own, the 2 mil, and they're coming out, I think, the 3rd largest size. And I think that's because I've apparently become a pretty loose knitter. Plus, the yarn is actually pretty thin. So if you're looking at standard or at sock yarns generally, this is definitely on the thinner side, the natural sock. And it has quite a high twist. So it's a 2-ply, but it has quite a high twist, which I find when I knit with a high twist yarn, my gauge is always smaller.
That's interesting.
So
I wonder why that is.
So yeah, just a thing. But this is a thing, honestly, that I quite often do when I can't get. So when I swatch for gauge, I tend to go for, do I like the fabric, and work from there. So even if that means my gauge is different than the gauge stated in the pattern, what I'll do is I'll calculate based on my gauge, which gives me the fabric that I like, which size would give me the finished garment measurements that I like. Which often means I will knit a size that is actually different than the one that I would have chosen had I knit to the gauge in the pattern. Does that make sense?
That's interesting. And that's a really good approach, and I think that might be something I might have to start doing, because I never get gauge. I must be a really weird knitter. So would that be something to try in the future?
Gauge is so particular, right? And I think it's also to do with the fact that I'm not a very patient person. So where I will do a gauge swatch, because especially for larger garments, it just pays off. I don't want to try 15 different needles. And because I love the Chow Goose so much, they're metal. I only knit with metal needles. I hate knitting with bamboo or wooden needles. There's something about it. I can't, it's not for me. I know there are a lot of people out there who love it. I just don't.
I love wooden needles.
And so that's, I think, why I tend to go for fabric that I like. Yeah, and then work from there. It's not something that I would necessarily recommend for the beginner knitter, but if you guys have any questions on how exactly I do that or something, just comment down below, and I'd be happy to talk about this in a different episode.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's
last thing that I'm going to share about these socks is a funny story. And I think we both have our ripping back stories now for the Making Summer Stories projects. Because I, after having knit this sock, I was super confident. I was like, I know the pattern. I can just knit these without looking at the pattern. Yada, 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 yada. And I knit, and I knit, and I knit, and I knit. And you will notice that there's this, like, you have all of these cables, la, 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 la. And then you have this bigger one here. Yeah. So I'm going to show it here. So here, right? Like, you have all of these gorgeous cables, and then you have this like oval thing here, and then, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I knit about, on the second sock, I knit like la 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 la, probably up until here, without actually doing the oval shape thing.
Oh no.
I was like, damn. So I tried lettering down, but it didn't look very good.
No.
And so I just knit back about this much.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep, but
there's only so far you can get with laddering down. Well, there is for me. I can do it for some things. I was trying with mine last night, and at some point I just end up getting myself more confused, especially when yarn overs are involved. I just ended up like, what? Yeah, so that would be quite a ways to ladder back down. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that, like, for everyone who doesn't know what lettering down is, by the way, it's, if you're not knitting back, there's another option to fix your mistakes in your knitting, which is you knit back to the place where you made the mistake, you drop the stitch, you kind of drop it until the point where you made the mistake, and you knit back up, or you take a tiny crochet hook and just, you know, sort of like loop the stitches the way they should be. Which, if you have a forgiving yarn and a forgiving pattern, is quite a nice way to fix any mistakes. And you can even do this, like I've done this for cable things, but with much with much bigger yarn, and with, you know, not these intricate cables, and it didn't look good. And there are a lot of things that you can block out when you fix your knitting, but this, I was like, no, this is not, it's gonna show. And like, for me, if I had knit them for me, I would probably have just left it like that, and then those two socks would have been sisters, not twins. But they're for my mom, right? She probably wouldn't mind it either, but I wanted them to be perfect. So yeah, funny story there. Ooh, and sorry, I'm taking up all the time. It's like, no.
That's okay. You go.
I want to share one last tip for everyone who's knitting this or considering knitting this, and who's not a fan of knitting tiny cables or working with cable needles. I'm neither. You can totally cable all of these cables without a cable needle. If you don't know how to do that, just Google it. I don't own a cable needle, and I haven't for several years, because most, like, unless you're knitting with an extremely slippery yarn or you have gigantic cables, you can cable every cable without a cable needle, and it's so much faster.
It's so satisfying as well. Honest, this is going to sound dramatic, but the day I learned to cable without a needle changed my life. Honest to God, I was going through this big, I was doing a cardigan, I forget which one now, and that's how I learned how to cable without a needle, and it had taken me ages to do it. And I'm one of those people. This is why I had to switch from DPNs to Magic Loop when it came to socks or anything. I lose needles constantly, so I would spend most of my time when I was doing cables hunting for the damn cable needle, because it would be down the side of the couch or on the floor or somewhere. So I learned how to cable without a needle then, and it's so good. And it's not as scary because you have live needles. If anyone has ever wanted to try it but been afraid because of those live needles that come off, it's fine. Like you said, unless it's a really slippery yarn, and if you're holding on to the working yarn as well, that's not good. But you can come off, still be fine. You just slip your needle straight back in there, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's really nice. So that is tip number one. The other thing is, for these gorgeous red stitches here, the pattern will also tell you to work with a cable needle. Now, because I don't have a cable needle, I don't own a cable needle, I didn't have a cable needle. So I am using a tapestry needle instead. And honestly, what I found was that this was a lot better than it would have been with a cable needle, because you kind of, this is not really, was that Tilly saying hi?
Tilly saying something.
So that's Claire's dog. Tilly agrees with me. I'm using a darning needle for this.
Apparently.
So basically, what you're doing, the pattern explains this a lot better than I can. But what you're doing for those red stitches is you slip them off the needle onto the tapestry needle. You wind your yarn around them, and then because you have the hole in the tapestry needle, you can slip into the hole with your other needle and just slip those stitches right back on. And it's a lot smoother than working with anything else.
So you don't just to wrap them, swap them back and forth across the needles, because that's how I've wrapped stitches before, and you just bring the yarn back and forth, like on your knitting needles.
You mean you don't slip them off the knitting needles onto anything else, but like...
No, I kind of bring my yarn forward and slip them to the right needle, and bring my yarn back and slip them back to the left needle. That's how I've always done it before.
I've never done it like that.
Less laborious.
I think you can totally do it the way that you just described, but because you're wrapping them 3 times, you will be moving the stitches back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And by slipping them on the tapestry needle or darning needle, you just slip them once, you wrap the yarn around, and then you slip them onto the right hand needle.
That sounds way better.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that with everyone who's like, oh
nice.
I don't really know how to do this, or I'm kind of like, this is gonna, and this is really fast, like with a darning needle. So yeah, I'm in love with them. I will actually hopefully finish them before, so I'm at my parents' right now. So hopefully I'll finish them before we leave, so that I can actually give them to my mom.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
That's my plan. So yeah. How about you, Claire?
Well, I go a little bit further than you with my petio, but I'm going to show people a picture of what it looks like in the magazine before we start, because obviously it's kind of like all bunched up on my needles at the moment. But so just in case, this is what I'm knitting. I've been obsessed with it ever since we saw it. So I'm really excited. I swatched with it. So I only actually cast on 2 days ago. Again, we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah.
Okay, so people, I've seen how far Claire has gotten, and like what? Okay.
It knits up so quickly because it's really addictive. The chart's like, because you start with a very small amount of stitches as well, because the way you have to, I'll show you on my swatch. So I swatched last weekend, and I got really excited about it. And this you can really see. Can you see I went to the wrong side. Yep. Can you see the?
Yep.
So this is the pattern. If you see, like, for these shapes, these like leafy shapes, you kind of increase a lot from the beginning going up. So you start off with a really small amount of stitches, so it makes it go quite fast early on. And I did this and I absolutely loved it, and I got so excited, and then I blocked it and I checked my gauge, which was wildly off. It was so completely off. And I could have done, like, I like the fabric, the feel of the fabric and everything, but the yoke is actually really short. And I think I would have needed to knit at this gauge and to do it and then lengthen the yoke. And I'd have needed so much more yarn than what I've got. So I decided to go, so I went up a needle size. I was a little bit lazy in that I was like, I'm just going to go up a needle size and cast it on and see what happens. That didn't work either, because I cast it on, so it should be 5 as the largest needles. And then I think it's 2.5 for doing the neck. You cast on the neck and you do the ribbing, and then you go up a needle size. So I cast on at 3.5, and as I cast it on, because I cast on really tight as well, so I should have known. I was looking at it and I was like, this kind of looks like I've cast on a mitten, not even like a hat. Like, it looked like I was knitting a mitten, and I was like, that doesn't bode well. I'm just going to keep going for a while and see what happens. And I got a little bit further and went up to a size 4 to start the yoke. And then as I got a little further out, I thought, I'll see if I can actually, maybe it's quite stretchy and it'll just be like quite a close fitting net. It was not going over my head to save my life. It kind of just stopped here. And I was like, okay, so something's going wrong. So I checked briefly just at the unblock what I was knitting at, and it was still really tight. So I have modified it slightly. I've gone up another needle. So I'm actually at the largest needle. I'm knitting at 4.5, which is a big jump up from 3.5, but I'm loving it's feeling very soft and it fits over my head now as well. I did modify the neck slightly. I'm knitting size 2, and you cast on the stitches for the neck, and then on that first row you do a row of purl stitches and you increase so many stitches on that row. I think it's 6, just to give myself that wider neckline, because whatever I was doing, I'm just knitting it way too tight. So, and that's worked really well. It fits just over my head really nicely. And so I ended up knitting the neckline at 4, and I've started on the yoke at 4.5, and this is where I'm up to right now. I'm so excited about it. I absolutely love it. Like I said, it's so addictive, the chart and those yarn overs. I was kind of getting a little stressed at the beginning because I thought my yarn overs were looking really big on the 4.5, but it's actually really nice, and it looks more like the pattern looks more like it's supposed to, rather than these little tiny things.
True.
I am a really tight knitter, so yeah, I'm really excited about it, but I have to rip back. I have to rip back and redo my knots, which sucks. So on just this row, you get these little knots right here. And I was doing really well, and it's completely Chris's fault. He was playing Last of Us 2, and it was a particularly exciting part, and don't knit knots while you're distracted. That's all I can say, because bad things will happen, and bad things did, and I didn't realize until another 3 rows ahead that my stitch count was completely off, because what has happened is I've done my loops for my knots and slipped them back onto the left-hand needle, and then stirred at the TV, gone through the back of the stitch and picked up an extra stitch for every knot on the second half of the yoke. So once I got round to, it completely threw my stitch pattern off. So I tried to, the first one I came to, I thought, I can probably fudge that and like get an extra stitch from somewhere. And so I did it on that one, and then did it wrong, so I had to go back and then dropped it back to yarn over, and then I got this big hole, and then I tried to fix the hole. By the time I'd spent so much time trying to fudge it and fix it, I was like, I could have just ripped this thing back and actually knit it properly. So I thought, I'm just going to leave it alone. I can just show you up to this point today. But yeah, later tonight, this is going back to the nuts, and I'm going to redo them. I think the other reason that happened is the first few nuts I did on that round, I used a crochet hook because I was having trouble getting, once I'd done the loops, knitting through the back and getting my needle back through with the yarn. So I was using a crochet hook for the first few and bringing it through properly that way. And yeah, the last lot, I got cocky and I got distracted, and
yeah,
what
that's what happens.
It's all Chris's fault. So that's what I decided. It's not my fault at all. So yeah, this is where I'm up to. And also, I don't know if you can see little stitch marker. It's an acorn. Isn't it cute? An acorn? So it's a pine cone. It's a little pine cone. So I picked that up at the Mariner's Daughter last time I was out. Is a yarn shop in Lunenburg, and one of our stockists from Firefly Notes. They have the cutest things in there, so I get these fun little stitch markers on my things. So yeah, that's where we're up to with my petiole.
Tilly approves.
I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. Tilly approves. Sorry, she completely threw me then. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm absolutely loving. So that's a pattern from Stephanie Earp, and who's just phenomenal. I remember when she sent us an early photo of her sample, like last year before, and we were both like, oh my god.
Wow.
When she sent me that photo, I was like, I have to knit that sweater, it's so good. So, and now I get to, so I'm really excited, and I'm going to be on vacation next week, so hopefully I will get to work on this a lot more, because 2 nights work on that, and it's already grown so much, especially on the 4.5. Apologies for Tilly, she's also excited.
And then once so the body isn't stuck in it, so once you're at the stuck in it portion, you can watch Chris play The Last of Us 2 as much as you like.
Exactly. And just zone out.
Yeah. Quick word on the yarn that this is designed for, because the yarn is gorgeous. It's so for nice. Stolen Stitches Nua Sport, which is a merino yak linen blend. Claire's colorway is Cerebellum.
Yes,
I still haven't remembered mine. Must see something, I think. And it's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous yarn.
Oh, it's so nice. I absolutely love it. And as we now know, thankfully, because Marina told us, it's got these little like white flecks all the way through, which is the linen. And I think I said last time, I've knit with woolly linen yarns before, and I love that blend. But with this one having yak in it, it's so soft. Like normally it's quite crisp when it's got the linen and wool blend. It's quite a crisp yarn, and which is also beautiful. I love that because it always really softens as you wear it. But this is already like so cozy. Like it's going to be perfect going into autumn. Yeah, I think even though it's like a linen blend, which you normally have in the summer, it's going to be so cozy and warm for the winter as well. So can't wait.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, I'm warm all the time. And I have a sweater in that. I've knit a sweater in that yarn before, and it's one that I can wear probably, I would say, 2.5 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons, which I absolutely love. So it's warm enough for winter, but it's also, especially if you're knitting something that's a tiny bit looser, it will work perfectly for fall and summer. So fall and spring. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be perfect.
It's gonna be really
hi
nice.
Marla. Marla's here. It's nice
Hello,
to see you.
welcome.
Oh, Marla's got a shawl made out of it, and she has a sweater quantity saved for something special. Ooh, let us know what you decide to make with it when you do, because it's a gorgeous yarn. Do you know what your colorway is, Marla? Find out what Marla's knitting with, because I love finding out what colors.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so nice and soft.
Very, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. What else do we have to talk about today?
So that's all of our projects out of the way. But we, like I said, we're going to be coming up to 2 weeks of making summer stories. So that means that on Thursday, it's Tuesday right now, if anyone's watching this after we've gone live. On Thursday, I'm going to be drawing more prizes. So last week, we gave away 2 prizes over on Instagram. Oh, Marla says purple. Or maybe it's cerebellum, because this is kind of purple. We don't know. It'll be gorgeous either way, Marla. So yeah, back to the prizes. Last week I gave away 2 prizes over on Instagram and a woolly box of goodness over on our forum. So every week we're going to be kind of giving away either one of our publications, a box of Yarn Partner wool, a subscription's going to be in there, all the fun things. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is post a photo and maybe share a little story with us over on your grid on Instagram using hashtag Making Summer Stories, or come over and join us on our forum. It's getting a little busier over there. We're having lots of fun, and you post a photo and a story in there, and I'll pick someone to win over from the forum. Everything's at random, so everyone has a completely fair chance of winning. And yeah, we'd love to see you over there. It's lovely chatting with people on the forum. It's we're getting like a nice little group going on over there. So I'll pop the links below. Please do come and visit us over there if you would like to. And yeah, I think that's kind of, unless anyone has any questions or anything they want to ask us, we can have a little natter for a little longer. But I think I'm excited. I'm liking the pace of our Making Summer Stories. It's very chilled. As Hannah Lisa has demonstrated, you don't have to be in any mad rush. We've got like the deadline of 4 weeks, but you don't have to have anything finished. You could already have finished something years ago from a Making Stories publication, and you can show us your photo and be in with a chance of winning one of our prizes. So it's all very relaxed. We're just having fun and just chatting, and it's been so nice. I'm having such a nice time with everyone.
Yeah. And I'm really excited to get back to the forum. I haven't been on there because vacation.
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm really excited about it because I think, I mean, the summer is very different, I think, than a lot of us imagined. So connecting with each other through this way and it being pretty gentle and chill, I think that was our intention. And I'm really glad that we're doing it. It just makes like every single, honestly, like it makes every single stitch feel special. It's a nice feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. And, you know, it's such a tricky time. I mean, obviously I'm in Canada and all my family are back over in the UK where things are particularly rough at the moment. And my parents should have been out over here this summer, and so it's really tricky. Everyone's feeling it in lots of different ways, so it's kind of nice to everyone come together and show the knitting. It can't solve everything, but it certainly does help, and it's always nice to have friends to knit with. So I'm having a lovely time, and I can't wait till I can wear this bad boy. I have crampons of this. I think this is going to be a definite wardrobe staple, which is kind of interesting because normally things I think of a wardrobe staples more, I'm very much into the vanilla sweaters and that kind of a thing. But I think this is going to be gorgeous with its yoke and its nuts. when I redo them.
Alrighty, I think lovelies, we'll wrap it up
So,
now.
yeah.
Just popping onto the live chat, but I don't think there are any more questions. I'm so in vacation mode. I actually can't remember when we'll be here live the next time, but I think in like probably in 2 weeks. With I think in 2 weeks with Sari Nordlund as the guest.
Which will be so nice. I'm really, I was looking at our schedule the other day actually because I was planning out things for while I'm away, and I was like, I'm gonna miss Sari, the live chat with Sari. So I was a little bit like, oh no. And I don't know how well Wi-Fi will hold up where I am, so I might have to watch it later. I might have to watch it live, which sucks. But that's gonna be really fun.
You can always watch it later, which is kind of the thing with all of these videos. So
exactly.
So it's going to be a really nice chat. We've worked with Sari for a few different publications. She's designed a gorgeous shawl for issue 3, which is called Unfolding. It's absolutely magnificent, and we'll probably talk about the hat that she's designed for issue 4, which is also gorgeous. Which is definitely something that is jumping on my needles for the release of issue 4. Oh yeah, that's Unfolding.
That is Unfolding.
Yeah. And Sari also has a lot of she's talked a lot online about getting published in magazines, and especially also how to deal with being rejected from publishers. And so we thought it would be also a nice time, because we still have our call for submissions open for issue 6 for a few more weeks. So we're going to talk about her gorgeous designs and also her perspective on submitting and working with magazines. So I'm really looking forward to that chat.
Oh, it's going to be so good. I'm excited for that hat as well.
Alrighty, lovelies. Have a wonderful next 2 weeks. Stay safe, if you can.
Definitely.
And join us in the forum. And last words, Claire, over to you.
Last words, I will see you in the forum. Hopefully it'd be lovely to see you over there. And as always, thank you for joining us live. And if you're watching this afterwards, thank you for watching us afterwards. It's so nice to have you all here, hear the nice things you've been saying about our YouTube channel. We'll promote a bit at the end. If you like it, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and you will never miss a video. And we hope to see you again here soon. Have a lovely day, lovelies, and see you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.